welcome back to our channel. My name is Casey.
And I'm Anthony.
And we're Dos Cavazos, and I am so excited today. Y'all have no idea because we are finally watching The Last Kingdom. The new season finally came out, and I am so excited. I've watched this show literally like 5 times over and over again.
Yeah.
Because I love it. And it's underrated, and more people need to watch it, and if you have not watched it, go watch it.
You're going to get 2 different types of parallels here when it comes to reactions for this particular show. Casey's been watching this, obviously, since it actually first came out. She's seen it multiple times. I have not. I actually watched all 3 seasons in the last week.
Yeah.
It's something that, like, we had talked about early on, and I already know there was, like, 3 seasons of it. I was like, it was my intention, like, our intention, I guess, for Casey to kind of react to this by herself. But... you know, with all the free time we have lately, I was like, you know, maybe I can catch up to where you're at. And, you know, I honestly, after about the 5th episode in season 1, this show just had me hooked. And I'm just, like, really sad that I actually didn't know how great of a show this was. It was actually just kind of cool to have, like, so much good episodes of a show available to you.
I'm looking forward to hopefully seeing Uhtred return back to Bebbanburg. That's, like, what I have been waiting for. And it's like every time he starts his journey north, something always happens, or he has to, like, pledge his allegiance to Wessex again. And this is cool because last season it was, like, a little bit different because in the past he had always, like, had to be almost like a slave to Wessex in a sense. Like, you know, he didn't have a choice. I mean, he finally had his freedom now, and he chose to stand by Edward. But he also did make that vow to Alfred.
Yeah. I want to say, too, that honestly, that scene at the very end of last season between Alfred and Uhtred, like, them just, like, talking about how they respected each other and just, like, that bond that they had each other. That was probably the best scene out of all 3 seasons of this. Like, it was just so powerful and stuff. And, you know, it's crazy to think, like, for me, it's something that I watched over the course of, like, 3 days. But for you guys, I mean, it was over the course of, like, years who've actually, you know, been keeping up with this show since day 1. I don't know exactly where else it can go now. You know, obviously, he's pledged his allegiance to Edward. And it seems like, you know, everything's kind of, I guess... I don't want to say it's peaceful, but, you know, it kind of ended on that. But what's so unique about this show is that, like, people, like, the main villains that end up becoming, like, main villains at some point, like, throughout a season's arcs, they get introduced earlier on in very small roles. Like, one person gets introduced in the first season, and in the 3rd season, that's, like, the main villain. It's kind of cool how they do it like that. I will say, too, that having watched all 3 seasons within 3 days... all these names are very difficult for me to retain.
They're all very similar.
There's like at least 3 or 4 people that I've seen with the beginning of their first name with Ethel.
Ethelfled,
Ethelhelm, Ethel.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it was so difficult for me to retain all these names, so I might mess up at one point or another. Bear with me.
So I do have one criticism from the last season. I didn't like nor think that the character Skade was necessary, and I don't know if I'm alone in that. I just feel like she didn't add much to the plot, and then she got killed, and I don't know, I guess, like... it
was a little anticlimactic the way she died, too.
And I guess, I don't even know what the purpose was, like, because Uhtred was cursed, and then he, like, had to go kill the curse. I don't know, I just did not like her character, and not just that, but I just didn't really like how that story fit into the season. I don't know, that's just me. But other than that, I really did like this last season. I liked seeing the maturity of Uhtred, and you can see over the seasons, like over the years, how he's grown, you know, like how he's coming to terms with being half Dane, half Saxon, and it's just like really interesting to see where his allegiances are lying.
So yeah, when we were first introduced to Uhtred, you know, in his adult life, it was kind of like in his young adult life, Uhtred was kind of like, you know, I'm impervious to anything type of thing, you know, kind of like cocky a little bit, and it's kind of interesting to see how, you know, how he's grown and how he's been humbled, you know, being taken in as a slave too.
That was a big
very big and
moment
instrumental
in his life. Yes.
But I think, you know, from the arc from season 2 to season 3, I think that's where you just saw like the big jump, where he just seemed like so much more mature. He just carried himself with such charisma. Like he still has like all the wisdom that he's gained throughout the years, and he's still such a great warrior. Yeah,
he still has the fight in him, but he thinks a lot more before he just like goes on and breaks the shield wall, you know. Which that was crazy. And I think, like, once he married Gisela, it changed in him, and I was sad that she had passed away.
Uhtred just has the worst luck with women.
with women. So, I don't know, I want to see if he's going to have a new love interest. Is he going to be with Ethelfled? They were kind of seemed like they were hinting at that, but I'm not sure.
You know, I kind of, like, feel weird about that. It's just, like, I mean, I know, like, you know, in olden times, like, age gaps were, like, more significant, but I was just like... it was like when we were introduced to her, she was like so little, and Uhtred was still like, you know, an adult. So that's interesting, but you know, it's a different time too.
Yeah.
But you know, one person that I love this bond, and I'm not necessarily trying to say that, you know, I want them to like necessarily be together, but Hild. Like, I love her as a character. Yeah. She's probably one of my favorite characters. And, like, their bond that her and Uhtred just have together, so it's like this undenying, like, love. But it's, like, not necessarily in the sensual, romantic type of sense. It's more of, like, you know, they're just, like, I'm always going to be there for you type of thing. And, you know, that's probably one of my favorite bonds between people that I've seen throughout these arcs of these seasons.
Something also that I was so upset about in the last season is that Ethelfled and Eric didn't get to expand their relationship. He died, and I was just like, ugh, I wanted them to be together. Yeah. And then the fact that she got pregnant, everybody knows it's not her husband's, so that's interesting. But we still have yet to see the daughter that she has. So
well, I think they showed her just by like in the background, kind of. We've never like, really been introduced. But in all honesty, we've barely really been introduced to Uhtred's kids. Really, they've just kind of been like, you know, characters in the background. They haven't really been brought to the forefront much. Which, you know, hopefully we might be able to see. Like, depending on how much of a time jump we see here, you know, maybe his oldest son might be, you know, an age where they could actually use him a lot in this thing. Maybe he's training him. That'd be kind of cool to see, like training his son in his ways and whatnot.
So I'm really curious to see what kind of time jump we'll get in this, if we get any. I feel like we're going to get a big time jump. I don't know why, but that just seems like the trend that we've been getting. Like, we had that 3-year time jump in the middle of season 2, and then it's like, after that, massive. But they never clarified or specified how much time, but we can assume it's been a while.
See, I've been using Edward as like the barometer because, you know, in season 1 where we actually had him as a baby, and now he seems like he's a teenager, like, and somewhere
late teens.
If I had to put it, I'd probably put it somewhere between 15 and 17 years of age. That's what it appears like he was in season 3. So, seeing, you know, if he's grown any facial hair, like pretty much I feel like we're going to be able to like judge.
Sometimes you can't tell though, because it depends on how they do them, like aging up. Because I feel like they aged up Uhtred, but they didn't age up a lot of the other surrounding characters, so it was kind of difficult to tell the time.
That was kind of one thing too. That's probably one of my gripes too, of just like kind of understanding the timeline. Mind you, me watching it all in succession, like back to back to back. Like Father Bayaka, like, you know, he didn't really look much different than when we were first introduced to him. So I was like, how much time has really passed here? But like you said, Uhtred, so much it wasn't necessarily that they really aged him, but they did change his appearance to make you tell, like
he looked more mature. Yeah, but other than that, like, this is probably my favorite show, one of my favorite shows. It's up there. I love it so much.
In shows that are, like, currently airing right now, some of my favorites, like, I put it right up there at the top. And, like, I'm just, like, so happy that I was introduced to this. And I'm, you know, kind of upset that it took so long, but, you know, not so upset because now I get to watch all of season 4 really, really quickly and I don't have to wait like you.
Also, towards the end of the last season, Tura got hate crimed against, basically, and she got burned under her house. Which was horrible. And I, like, there's going to be a huge change in Bayaka. We already know he's got a fiery side in him. And they were just so good together, and they had such a great relationship. And I'm so sad that that happened. And Uhtred, too, like, he's had so much loss. He's lost his whole entire adoptive family. He's lost his original family. All he has is a stupid uncle who he needs to overthrow. And I really hope that his journey leads to like, I want him to be back in Bebbanburg at some point.
I just want him to rule over everything.
I know, Anthony wants him to be like the king of everything. I don't think
I want Uhtred to rule all. Like, I don't know. I just love his character so much. He's like, you know, he's just such a likable character. And like, you know, seeing that story arc that we kind of talked about earlier too, just like about his maturity and like how he's become such a great warrior, but then also too, like the undying loyalty that he showed for Alfred, even though like Alfred questioned him at like every single turn, like everything that like that was pissing me off until like that very last scene with Alfred and him. Like, Alfred would piss me the hell off. I was like, really? After everything he's done for you, he's given his son for you, he's given all this, he's saved your family at every turn, and I'm just like, seeing that last scene, it like wrapped it all. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I got a little emotional watching them talk in that last scene in season, well, it was episode 9 of season 3, where they were like, before he died, and I was just like, oh, that's it's so beautiful to see like that bond between those two.
I think Uhtred really does, like, he does have loyalties to the Danes, in the sense that that's, like, a part of who he is, but I really feel like he's wanting to prove himself that he is a Saxon and that's like, you know, his birthright of who he is. And I think that that's been like an overarching theme throughout the whole show, is that like he's trying to get back to his roots but still struggling with who he is and his identity, because he is both. At the end of the day, he was raised as a Dane. It's just interesting to see him like kind of ingrain more into the Saxon culture but yet still retain a lot of his Danish traits. It's interesting because they always are like, he said that they're heathens, he's a heathen, but like he's just really like everyone else, it seems. So, and if not more loyal than a lot of the other people who are serving Wessex. So yeah.
Another thing also too I just wanted to bring up about, I loved about Uhtred so much, is just like how much of a leader he is, and not how natural he is, and like with it, and like how he doesn't even have to try. Like he's just like, people gravitate towards him. Like he's just so, like, I don't even know how to describe it, but he just knows what he's doing, and he just has like this sense, this presence, like aura about him that just people gravitate towards him, and they just believe in him. And like, you know, that's something that, you know, Alfred, he was his crutch, and you know, he said it at the end too, where he's not going to write it in any papers, but he knew it to be true, that he stood on the shoulders of Uhtred, and that he wouldn't have died a king if it wasn't for him. So really excited to see how it plays out now. I want to see what's going to happen. Yeah, he was a kingmaker.
All right, so let's go ahead and get into the show because I'm so excited. What was this? Bebbanburg? Oh no, they locked some of their old men out. That sucks, whoever that is.
Oh,
Finin!
yeah.
And, I completely forgot his name. Leofric's nephew. Did he get to go back to cook him? He gave him back? Oh,
Yay.
he got to cook him back!
Oh, who's he with?
This is Alfred, I'm gonna freak out. I doubt it.
Oh!
What? Why are they just gonna like go straight into that like that? We never even got confirmation of this relationship. Well, I guess
we got confirmation.
I just don't think that I'm ready for this yet.
But she's still with her husband.
Her husband's an asshole.
I know, but like, you know.
No one knows I'm here.
Wow. I never thought, I thought that could happen, but I didn't know, like, that relationship would actually happen.
Didn't you say, like, when she was younger, it looked like she always had, like, a crush on him?
Yeah, she always was like, where's Uhtred? Is Uhtred gonna be here? Which is kind of weird, but...
Yeah.
Lady Ethelflaed's absence has been noted by her husband. She should leave here.
And he likes her.
Do not return to him and be humiliated. We are more than that.
Oh.
And hopefully in time things will change for us.
Hopefully you could be the Lady of Bebbanburg.
Where's Canute taking his men?
Ireland. A cousin Sigtrygr is being held captive by the natives. I want silver, and Lord Ethelred has it.
He literally just tries to be, you know, get in with anyone who will take him.
Yeah.
He's been attacked by the Scots pushing south. Lost half his men in the most recent assault.
So we could take it.
We head to Bebbanburg before the Scots return.
Finally.
What are they doing with Father's books?
Lord Ethelhelm wants this room given over to planning our defences. Apparently,
That was his life's work.
the best light.
Lord Ethelhelm,
My king?
Is that Edward?
what did you hear?
Well, simply
Really?
the Canute
Kindness and loyalty.
Yeah.
To the Scots.
His hair? So there definitely has been a little time.
Yeah.
Not sure how much, but
What if she doesn't like the fact that she's not in the loop anymore?
she's not.
She's always trying to influence Alfred a little bit. More than a little bit.
Our game is not finished.
I hate him.
I know. I loved him in Rain.
Just hump the desperate bastard.
I hump him and he loses interest.
Oh,
If we
so
want
they
all this to
gotta-
continue, then we must not overplay our hand. Do you want to return to being landless and ridiculed?
So they were being like swindly to try to work their way into
Power.
some power and lands.
Word will spread that you leave for Ireland.
And he believed you?
He wants to kiss his master's back.
So much deception.
You sure it's him?
From the reaction of the novices, I'm fairly certain.
They're all like, oh, I love him and Beyonce.
You've made quite an
I almost said
impression.
Beyonce.
He takes the fortress, it becomes your foothold in Northumbria.
I take Northumbria and I unite the four kingdoms.
But surely his oath was to see the king on the throne, a duty that is now performed.
What is the point you are making, Lord Ethelhelm?
I'm merely saying that there is no debt on either side.
No debt.
Lord Uhtred is free to take what he wants, you to defend what you have, which is the innocent people of Wessex from the marauding heathen.
Your father had a dream.
And my father also knew when to say no to Uhtred.
Oh my God, he's pissing me off now, babe.
I'm no longer the boy who can be bent to your will.
You're being bent right now, just by a different person.
This is not saying never, but now is not the time.
Oh my goodness. But Alfred knew his mistakes at the end. He just never told anybody.
He should have stayed with him. Like, that's like, as soon as he left his side, like someone else with influence swooped in and like is bending him how he wants to.
My woman Sabel is at my husband's estate, and she has learned something that will be very useful to you.
So she's telling her stuff.
Lord Ethelred is collecting the relics of St. Oswald, because when St. Oswald's body is reunited in Mercia, the land will be returned to greatness.
It is important to our people.
Why is it important to me?
Tell him of the monks, Sabel.
Oh, yes. All that remains to be gathered is the heart of St. Oswald, which your uncle...
Of course, Selfridge keeps it in Bebbanburg.
They should reach Grimsby by Sunday, and Bebbanburg on the day of Ascension.
You live like a lord in Bebbanburg.
You owe me nothing, Uhtred. Anything I ever did for you, I did for my own heart. May the Lord bless you and keep you in this adventure.
Thank you, Father.
Aww. She always gives him crosses.
Look how he worms his way in with the King's Guard. Why do that if you do not seek influence?
Come on, Ellsworth. Use your powers for good.
He has suggested to me things that are most unchristian in regards to the other heirs of the throne.
Do you mean the firstborn you had banished so your son can make a better marriage? You cannot invite a serpent into the garden and be surprised when it slithers on the ground.
Beaka's
He's
spitting
changed,
fire. Are they gonna kidnap a priest? But I guess they're using a monk.
Hello, Father. Men. This is my son, young Uhtred.
Don't use that name. It belongs to a priest killer.
No.
I'm here to guide you back to your family.
A little baby horse? That's why they needed a baby horse?
I did not realize how much you had grown. To seize back what was lost and unite our family, I'm taking you to Bebbanburg.
Never heard of it.
I'm so excited for this.
Yeah, to see him be a father. I feel like Beocca could like help like mend the relationship between Uhtred and his son.
Like he helped Tira. Yay!
Beocca!
This wouldn't be complete without Beocca.
You came to help me be a better father.
Well, there is that.
I know what it is to be ripped from one life to live another, and I know that it will make you stronger.
Perhaps my faith is being tested.
You see this? This was my father's. One day it will be yours. It is fate.
It doesn't feel like fate.
Just so crazy just to see like mature Uhtred. Like he's just
I
like
know.
just so wise. It's just like
There's no way they're gonna get to Bebbanburg in the first episode. Oh, maybe? Oh. Oh, baby Uhtred flashback!
To Bebbanburg!
Destiny is old.
I think it was a great start and opening to the season.
Yeah, we got a lot of answers that we had from the previous season, but like it left you wanting more, you know?
Yeah.
So that was good. Like we got to see where everybody was, and it all made sense where they were. So that was awesome. That first opening scene with Uhtred and Ethelfled was like, oh!
I think the coolest thing for me was getting reintroduced to Uhtred's son.
Now that he's older.
You know, seeing him, you know, having found religion because of like the incidents that you know Alfred taking his kids from their home. Yeah. I really hope that Beocca is gonna really kind of help that relationship mend, because like I really want to see Uhtred as like a father more, because I feel like that's one of the things that I feel like we talked right before this episode, is that the kids have felt like they've been on the back burner, like they're just kind of there in the background, but they haven't really been brought to the forefront of like the actual arc and what they're actually going through. So I want to see. I don't think. I thought they were gonna put like one of the monks to actually. But like I don't think he's gonna put his son in jeopardy. I think he'll probably ask for Beocca now at this point. But actually, I think it was supposed to be two, so it might be him and Beocca.
Yeah, I think that's what I'm looking most forward to, is seeing Uhtred as a father, because we haven't gotten to see that from him, and I think that he does care a lot about being a good father, considering like how Ragnar was a father to him. And I hope that we get to see a lot of similar traits like that.
Yeah, I think that'll be really cool. If they have like maybe callbacks to both, like both of his fathers, maybe even like I think that's just like so interesting to like see that, and like how he may have been taking like things that influenced him at a young age, and how he may project that onto his son, in like his development and growth into a man.
Which his son kind of had a similar, not super similar, but somewhat similar path. Like he was taken from his family essentially.
Yeah, it was cool how he brought that up.
In a different way. So it was almost like opposite, you know? Like, I know that they're not just gonna get to Bebbanburg next episode. I mean, if they are, they're probably gonna have a lot of, like, altercation. I don't know, it just can't be that simple, I think. So I'm wondering what we're gonna, like, run into on the way. May it be the Danes? I don't know.
Yeah, I feel like
Eastman.
there's so much stuff that has been set up in this episode that, like, could possibly happen. Obviously, we have the threat of the Scots attacking Bebbanburg. We have the Danes, obviously, trying to go for Mercia. And they're feeding information, false information to Mercia.
Which is getting to Wessex, to Edward. So it's like, that's not good either.
We have Ethelhelm manipulating Edward.
Ellsworth seeing through it, but I don't know what she's gonna do.
Yeah, and then it's weird because she's just like in a position where she's not in power anymore. Like she can't manipulate things. It's funny how like they told Beocca right there, like she can manipulate what she can now. But it's like you could tell it's. I don't know if it's, so much grief, but it's also like, not having be able to have that influence on the power and the decision making that she used to in the past. And I think she can see, obviously. Well, and actually, no. Hopefully, Beocca's little statement to her opened her eyes a little bit. You let the snakes into like the thing. Your son was in love and he had a child.
And was married.
Yeah. It wasn't about like, I just found like, I went to a brothel and got somebody pregnant. Like he actually cared for that person. So. I wonder if that will ever come back up. I wonder if we'll ever meet his first son, because that isn't a bastard. Like they said, it's a legitimate son.
It was a legitimate marriage.
Because I think they made her go to the nunnery, right?
Yeah.
His first wife, yeah.
So interestingly enough, Eliza Butterworth, who plays Ellsworth, the queen or the former queen,
widowed queen,
Edward's mother, she's actually like my favorite actress of the entire series, but like one of my least favorite characters. So. Super weird, but I follow her on Instagram, so.
Yeah, it's weird.
And she's hearted one of my comments. Actually, she's hearted like 3 of my comments, so I'm kind of like an Eliza Butterworth fangirl. So yeah, there's that.
I haven't known her that long. Obviously watching this whole season, but I will say that like her character in the show has been one of my least favorite, mostly just because of her like distaste for Uhtred.
Yeah.
Like I hated it so much. I was like, oh my god. And it's funny that like Ethelhelm right there is being like worse than what Uhtred she ever envisioned. Like she always had like these ideas that Uhtred was doing this. It was all bullshit.
Yeah.
And now you have like Christian men who you think like Christian men are supposed to be better than Uhtred, and they're manipulating your son more.
Some of them are even worse. Yeah, which is so sad. But I like how this show does like kind of talk about religion and different ways and like people in general. And that's just like a big theme in it.
I feel like there's a lot of story arcs that have been set up in this first episode. Like you said, I don't think we'll necessarily get to Bebbanburg right away, but I'm curious to like what's going to be like the main plot, because I feel like that hasn't been established yet, but there's so many different things that can be for this season. And I think one of the things that I really love about this show is that you'll watch things in other shows where like it takes like a while for them to build to get something. Sometimes they'll talk about a battle and then like they're in the battle,
which is nice.
I know,
and you
it's
don't
like
have
really
to
cool.
wait for like sometimes they'll be talking about stuff for like 5 episodes and you're like, come on, let's just get there. But like this one, it's like instant payoff, and then you're like on to the next. Like what else could happen?
See, that's like the funny thing about them sailing to Bebbanburg. I was like, either they're gonna get to Bebbanburg next episode, or they're gonna get distracted by something else that they're gonna have to be like sidetracked for a little bit. That's what I would think, because this show has done such a good job of like jumping straight into like the battles and the points and stuff, and not really like going to like the traveling aspect. Because obviously they're traveling long distances, but they're not actually showing that.
Sometimes like in shows, like the traveling can be like, okay, you're on the road for like I get in the old days.
The Walking Dead used to do that a while too.
Like It takes a long time to get places by foot or by horse or by wagon, you know? But I'm like, we don't need to see the entire journey unless something major is happening on the journey.
So like The Walking Dead used to do that. I used to think that was like one of like their faults was that like unless they actually had something happen to them like on the journey
like, we don't need to see you just walking
yeah.
there talking, you know?
That could happen like, you know, unless they're getting like attacked by somebody and like that's going to influence the plot.
Like a really big moment conversation, but still like that wouldn't take 5 episodes. So.
The Walking Dead did get better with that though. That was just kind of like a couple seasons there. But no, I really loved that about this show in particular, and I'm just really excited to see how this season progresses.
I'm so excited. So also please no spoilers in the comments, just because we want to have really genuine reactions, and we really like this show and we don't want to get spoiled, so just tag them.
Well, if you haven't already, please make sure to like and subscribe, hit that bell so you can stay notified for all of our future videos.
And we'll catch you next time.
Bye guys.